Hello, everyone. My name is Bill Romano. I'm a partner sales director for SnapLogic, looking after relationships with our great partners, like Allot, that we are here with today to talk about how AI is transforming our joint customers in the pharma space. We've got some great speakers for you today that are going to share their expertise and insights into the kind of work we've been doing. And it's my job, the toughest one, to introduce these luminaries to you. Starting in the order that I see them on my screen, let me introduce Greg Higgins. He's been in pharmaceuticals, biotech of roles for 40 years in the UK, different parts of Europe, America. Despite his deep industry knowledge for the past 5 years, he's been developing with Allot and SnapLogic, bringing those agentic AI solutions to problems like omnichannel automation, predictive analytics, and agentic AI solutions for many companies in the life sciences space. Can't wait to hear what he says today. I know he's going to drop some very well-informed wisdom bombs on us. The next one on my list is Ravi Krishnan, one of my coworkers here at SnapLogic. 25 plus years in the technology and integration space. Ravi currently looks after our entire SE organization for SnapLogic, and we're lucky to have someone with his depth of experience in both integration and the specific SnapLogic technology here with us today. And finally, last but not least, Mano Das is the co-founder and the director of Allot Limited. He's been, along with his team, helping pharmaceutical organizations accelerate commercial excellence through projects including AI-driven analytics, deep strategy, and digital innovation. I think first, he's known as a technologist that brings that deep industry expertise with a forward-looking approach to transform healthcare and life sciences projects through all of these insane changes and advances in technology we've been living through the past few years. I think that's my job finished. I will be here in the chat if you have any questions to make sure that our speakers see that. And until that, let me hand it over to the team to get into what you actually came here to see.
Thanks, Bill. Welcome, everyone. Agentic AI is certainly changing the way pharma works, from drug discovery right the way through to the commercialization. What we're going to focus on this morning, is the commercialization piece. And within the commercialization, next best action engines, agentic engines for sales, market access, medical, commercial, and the medical engagement functions. The way the model is changing is the old model used to be quite static and siloed, and now the NBA, Next Best Actions, agentic arms, the agentic brain, is analyzing a whole host of data from sales, medical, commercial, CRM, call note, symposium attendance, demographic data, a whole host of data, which the SnapLogic environment and pipelines augment. And then following on from that, the whole piece around how that moves and the agentic brain works is then governed by a series of frameworks and rules that then shape and move how things move forward. There are, at a high level, 4 layers: a data layer, intelligence layer, decision layer, and execution. Each of those layers has its own governance and compliance gates at the layer level, but also at the sub-agent level underneath those. The other thing, just to add into the mix, is the fact that all businesses operate in different ways, different models. and all divisions within businesses work in different ways as well. So our solution has a framework behind it to inform the brain of various customized business rules. So if you're working a cardiovascular portfolio, you would have one set of business rules in place. If you're working across a vaccines portfolio, it would be totally separate. And across the broad portfolio of products in your organization, that framework then extends to the core business functions, the sales, commercial, market access, marketing, and addresses some of the needs of the and challenges of the marketplace, which are rapidly evolving. One of the things that we'll talk about when we're going through demonstrations is the migration. So traditional, when I carried the bag many moons ago, it was face-to-face driven and an old style of commercial model. Those models are high penetration in terms of the depth of relationship and information you get with the customer. However, the access to those customers is rapidly changing. COVID came along and the models changed to digital first. And within the digital first environment, there was a faster reach to the marketplace. However, it was much shallower. And so we've got the hybrid scenario now. And interestingly, a recent IQVIA survey identified that 65% of payers and healthcare professionals preferred hybrid engagement models. So that's where the agentic brain is starting to shape all of these elements and augment all of the activities. And as we'll see in the demonstration shortly, some of the next best actions. Manu?
Thanks, Greg. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for your time today to join this session. Before I jump into the demo, I want to make sure the logistics are working fine. You are able to see my screen. So is my screen visible to everybody?
It is just coming online now, Mano. If you are not seeing it, please let us know in the chat, but I see it just now.
Okay, brilliant. Well, again, thanks, everyone. Over the next 15 to 20 minutes, I will show you how agentic AI can support commercial teams in the German urology market. Rather than focusing the technology side, which Ravi is going to cover, I am going to focus more on the business side of the things and how an agentic AI solution can help a commercial team analyze their commercial trends, prioritize HCPs, personalize messages, help the compliance team measure the compliance of calls, and producing a dashboard for the executive team. And we can really go on, asking a lot of questions to the system, but with the time limit, we will stick to 3 or 4 prompts as time permits. So right now, the scenario is in the German urology market, we have selected a product called Eligard, which is targeted at prostate cancer. So we are representing as a company as Eligard, which is a recruitment product. And we are trying to compare it with other competition products from AstraZeneca, AbbVie, and few others. So now you imagine you are the medical representative and you want to know about a specific doctor, in this case, Dr. Petra Volk, and you want to ask, what should be my next best action, keeping the past activities the focus, and also analyzing his profile, what he's interested in. Can the system tell me, okay, what should be my next best of action? I have previously run it for you all just to save some time, because the system takes little time to deliver the output. So if I am the medical rep, I do see, okay, a brief profile of Dr. Petra. So CJ1 community leader or community HCP, and his engagement profile with us on face-to-face emails, webinars detailing, okay, all those statistics are given, so we know, okay, what we have done with her in the past in terms of interaction. Then comes the next best action. The next best action is a phone call, as it is the channel with the most available headroom. Sometimes she's also open to emails. That channel is also open to us. And we can send this personalized message, or this is the personalized message in German given to the rep so that he can read and plan his next move. If I want to show you the graphical representation, like what are the different channels, how much we have used, how much we have left, that is here. And also, okay, here it shows, okay, face-to-face, it is almost at cap. Phone, okay, priority next action. Similarly, email, okay, you can send the scientific details. So all those things, we see it on one screen. Then I go back to my prompt sheet and I select, okay, based on the personalized message recommendation, draft an email for Dr. Petra. So now I run the system. Here, what is happening behind the scene, it is accessing the profiles we have created. Bear in mind, it is not going to the public domain and accessing Dr. Petra's profile. It is the profile that we have created for Dr. Petra, because we know all the pharma companies, they have their HCP profile, okay, built in their own context. And also it is analyzing the preference for Dr. Petra. And it is analyzing the call details, what she likes. So based on that, it is going to write the email for us. It is probably going to take a little time, but yeah, here we go. Unfortunately, we can tell, okay, the prompt to write in English, because most of us probably understand English. Because it is Germany, the system has written it in German. And a little bit of automation here, which I must highlight. So it is addressing Dr. Vogt, Dr. Petra Vogt, and it is writing in German, which I can't really read, okay, what message we should be sending. But the automation part is, we can really add, okay, Dr. Petra's email ID here, and the system will ask, do you want to send this email to Dr. Petra? Then we can just click a button here and the agent will send straight away to Dr. Petra. So that is the beauty of this agent. And in terms of quality management, we always have the human in the loop in the system. Like if you want to change something, like you did not like something what the Agentic AI has written, you can always change it. You can also push it to another system. If you are writing a content, you can send it to your content management system, and it will go through the quality gates or approval processes, and then you can send the mail to her.
In addition to the quality and governance gates that are set up here, there's a layer of the business rules that are put in place. And what they do is they govern the parameters that you as a business division or a market access person compared to a MSL or a medical person may want to actually incorporate certain bits of information. those business rules then combine with the persona data, sales, CRM, and call note data to generate the very specific personalized communications in this case. But the email is one channel of many that can form. The AI brain works across all channels, and the key thing here is that the orchestration is one element of many elements that each organization can personalize in those frameworks. Manu.
Thanks, Greg. So I am switching a little bit from personalized email to the compliance side of things. If I am the compliance manager and I want to see how compliant I am with my calls, because nowadays, okay, consent is a very, very critical thing, okay, particularly in the European market. So we, as per the country, okay, we have defined number of calls or number of emails that a medical rep or a company can send to a specific HCP. So behind the scene, we have documented those things, and we are pulling the data from Viva system, like how many calls have been made to the HCPs. So based on those two sets of data, now the system is analyzing, and I have asked, okay, tell me in territory 1, how I am compliant with my calls. So here is the dashboard we get. 18, HCP is called without consent. That means 18 times the reps have called in territory 1 to HCPs. Those who have not opted for the, or those who have not given consent for phone calls. If you want to see the details, okay, I can, here are all the details coming up. This Dr. Christian, his phone consent is no, but we have made 6 calls. So is this a violation of things? Yes. So this is how, okay, we are picking up all the compliance issues in the call quality, okay? And how many urologists flagged? 12 urologists. So that means, okay, we are making mistake, or we are not, we are violating the consent for 12 urologists. How many PCPs are flagged? 6. Total non-compliant phone calls are 78, which is a big, big number. So that means these numbers and the details, the compliance manager can take it to the medical reps, and they should try to mitigate any issues out of it.
So just to add on this piece, this is looking at the historical data that's created from CRM or call activity and those medical systems as well. The AI brain, the agentic brain, also looks for compliance red gates, i.e. do not pass, for future activities when it's looking at next best action creation based on activities and data moving forward. So the historical data, where in this example we've got poor compliance, in the future that will become more accurate because it will stop the activity before it gets to actually passing one of those gates. That's why we've designed the system that all of the sub-agents moving forward have gates on, as well as each of the individual layers as well. What that means is, for the business, every aspect, every department of the business has full control over how they want to approach and apply the compliance question side of things. And I think one of the interesting things is that compliance is a big challenge for agentic solutions across the world. Viva's Ostro acquisition, which was recently announced in the last few days, Ostro being a compliance engine, is one area to watch as well, because how is that business going to be integrated into the Viva ecosystem? And with Salesforce and Agentforce, they have their own systems that they're looking to develop as other providers into the marketplace as well. So it's an area that we've factored into the brain and the frameworks that we've got in place, purely because we know that it's business critical and it's very much a case of driving things forward to the needs of various projects and departments. Manu.
Thanks, Greg. Here I'm jumping to another set of users of the same engine, where we are analyzing, typically the IQVIA data. That means if I am the commercial manager or head of the commercial activity, I want to know how my competition is doing, purely in terms of sale. So here we have integrated the system, which Ravi is going to talk a little after, with the IQVIA data that the company purchased. And those data has been fit to the system, and the manager can run, or ask a prompt, what are the competition drugs to Eligard, and how are they doing based on the BRIC data? So those who are not familiar with BRIC data is a block of measure for pharmaceutical sales data. So now I have run this prompt, and now it is telling me, bear in mind, Eligard is targeted at prostate cancer. And in German market, the nearest competitions are the following. This one is from AbbVie. This one, I believe it is from AstraZeneca. So that means your competition is closing in. If I am the manager, I will be saying that, hey, how do I try to push back, AbbVie and AstraZeneca from my competition? So what type of messages I should be sending, or what type of further activities I should be doing? How my drug is more better clinically than my competition drugs? So those questions I will be asking, and I will be planning for it. So the beauty of this system, traditionally, if you want to see the competition data, then you go to one dashboard which is playing with all your sales data. Typically, we go to Power BI or click dashboards and see. But the beauty of this system, everything is coming out of this one platform. And in the next phase, we will show you, another side of the prompt, if time permits. Just give me one moment, please. So now we can jump to a clinical question, because in the back end, we have integrated this with clinical papers, so that, it can also help the commercial team, to figure out, what are the clinical advantages of Eligard over their nearest competition, that is Lupron, which is one AbbVie drug. Greg, you want to add anything?
No, I'm just conscious of time, Manu. I think the key thing as well is that, as well as the outputs, there's another level of output where it's giving you the reasoning behind all of this information and why it's generating the results that it's done. The other thing to say is that this is the architecture that we're using to actually deliver and augment all of this data is the SnapLogic's backbone. And Ravi can talk in a few moments to more of the details around that. I don't know how long this query is going to take, Manu.
Well, then should we abandon this and jump to Ravi, in the respect of time? Over to you, Ravi.
Sure. Thanks, Manu and Greg, for the great demo. So now that you have seen the outcomes, team, let's peel the onion a little bit and try to understand what's happening behind the scenes and how SnapLogic, as the platform, has really empowered the solution that Mano and Greg talked about. Right. So a quick introduction to SnapLogic. SnapLogic is the agentic integration platform with a core mission of putting ready-to-use data in the hands of every user within the organization and meet them where they are, right? So you saw today, Manu talked about a demo using Claude as an example. Our goal is to meet you where you are. If it's with these latest AI tools, great. We can have you interact with them or within your agents or your applications within the platform. But before I start talking deep up into SnapLogic, we've been hearing about this whole AI as a disruption. My viewpoint is AI is not the disruption. Execution is the race. And what do I mean by that? Right? Today, every enterprises have access to AI models. Right? I'm pretty sure you all have worked with ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, you name those. Everybody has access to it. But what I'm seeing though is enterprises are struggling to operationalize those AI safely and securely against their workflow, against their systems and their processes and data. This is where SnapLogic comes in. So now when you look into the demo and when I peel back, today we saw that when Mano and Greg were interacting with the chat platform, the data was coming in from a variety of different sources, right? You had your medical data, CDMS, you have sales data in IQVIA, you have analytics in Salesforce, clinical research in CMS, and it keeps going on and on. Data is fragmented across a variety of different systems, both internally and externally to your organization. The biggest challenge for AI is what I call as a walled garden. Yesterday, you can use all these chat assistants to be able to curate data set, but it's created based on the data that's publicly available. But the moment you try to ask questions with regards to your company, your systems and workflows, it stops. In other words, it starts hallucinating. And that's because of the walled garden. And when I say walled garden, like in this example you saw, the data is scattered over across all of these different applications. This is where SnapLogic comes into the play as a step one, giving you the ability to unlock the data from all of these different data sources. SnapLogic has over thousands of connectors, giving you the ability to connect to many of these different pharma healthcare applications. Now, I'd be lying if I say that we have a connectivity to every single application available out in the market. It's practically impossible because every single day there is tons and new applications coming out. But this is where SnapLogic has really invested in the foundational connectors like API connectors, databases, streaming, files, you name those. So in case if you don't have a connectivity to a given application, SnapLogic provides you with these foundational connectors to connect to them. But we just don't stop there. This is where the industry practice leads with Greg Mano from Allot comes in, where we know how to talk to these different systems. We have put in best practices. We have put in policies of how to connect to these different systems to extract it. So if you're trying to connect to these systems inside SnapLogic, you're not having to start from scratch. We help you accelerate the connectivity process by like 80 to 90% in. So now that we have connected, we help you with the movement of data. Now, this is where it becomes uniquely different. Today, when you look into the types of the questions that Manu was showing in the demo, it was not just a simple operational question. It had operational data that was coming in from a specific set of application. He had some analytical data that had to go through a bunch of different systems, do analysis, perform transformations, and get it back. There was some streaming data that he wanted to see what was happening from a computation standpoint. So rather than having a fragmented integration tools that the AI has to work with, SnapLogic provides you with a single converged platform that brings together the service-driven, event-driven, and data-driven as part of single unified platform. So this way, the AI doesn't have to work with fragmented. It's already having to work with fragmented applications. We don't need to make it complicated further by having it work with fragmented integration tools or data movement tools. And this is where SnapLogic provides you with a single unified converged platform so AI can focus on the data that it means business. We simplify the building of this integration pipelines with SnapGPT, which is our integration co-pilot. The days have gone where you have to learn or come to SnapLogic to learn the SnapLogic platform. Today, SnapLogic comes to you. You can communicate with a simple natural language, and the entire integration processes from simple to complex can be built. Now, while generative integration can help you build integration processes faster, but what's still missing is the context of the business process or the business domain. This is where the partnership with Allot really comes into the play, where we have already have those business processes. Now, while Manu showed a few of them, we have tons of other business processes that's already being built. So when you're trying to implement a similar healthcare pharma kind of a use cases, SnapLogic already has a repository of those integration and the business workflow pipelines that can be easily pulled in, so you can get to your business much quicker and faster. We further give you the ability to augment intelligence with what we call as a cognitive fabric. We have LLM snaps giving you the ability to augment intelligence inside your pipeline, even before delivering it out to the end users. By the way, without any restriction on what LLM, you bring in your own LLM of your choice or model of your choice, and SnapLogic gives you the ability to incorporate them to augment intelligence inside the platform. So now that these integration pipelines are built much quicker and faster with the domain experiences, best practices, and generative integration, enterprises are now seeing they are now able to build pipelines much quicker and faster. But now the challenge here is the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is building. A lot of these generative integration or low-code tools are great, but it's great in such a way that people build so many pipelines that they have no idea what's already built. And in result, people are not able to discover things, and they end up rebuilding things, which is causing duplication, impact analysis, you name those. This is where SnapLogic provides you with an asset catalog. Every integration asset that you build inside the SnapLogic platform, whether it's connectivity to a pharma application, whether it's a business process that's already being built, or a simple integration pipeline, every single asset is being cataloged. So tomorrow, if any of your developer will have to use it, they can just simply go to the catalog and figure out what's available, what's not, and then be able to reuse them. This applies same thing for our integration copilot. When you ask things to our copilot, it again gives you the ability to search these catalogs and be able to understand what's available so it can start building it. Once built, one of the key other challenges that we are hearing from our pharma customers is lineage. Yes, you build the data pipelines, and these pipelines are connecting to a variety of different applications. But how do I track back of what's really happening to this pipeline? How did this data come into this particular format or the shape? SnapLogic out of the box provides you with a lineage capability exposed in an open lineage spec, which can be integrated with any data cataloging solutions like Calibra, Alation, DataWorld, you name those. So thereby giving you an end-to-end visibility and tracking. So now that this is all built, the data is moving. At the end of the day, the big question is, how did Manu get access to all the data that SnapLogic is doing behind the scenes? This is where we help you on a single click expose those data as, or digitize those data as an API or an MCP in today's world, which is what these AI agents are expecting. Again, no building complex pipeline. You focus on data that means business. Let SnapLogic take care of rest of the things. A single click, these data pipelines can be exposed as an MCP with security and governance on top of it, which is a key thing. Getting data to an AI agent is awesome, but how do you make sure that the right person is able to access the right data at the right time? This is where SnapLogic provides you with a secure gateway, not only making sure that the right data is exposed, but also making sure that the right person can access it. Again, we can go inside more of those details, but SnapLogic provides you with zero trust all the way from source to origination, making those data sets available to AI agents like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or the agents within your applications that you want to integrate, and providing that engaging experiences to your customers. So in short, SnapLogic is the backbone of the demo that you just saw Manu and Greg talked about. We are the integration company. Our core mission is to put the data in the hands of every user within the organization, but more importantly, meet them where they are with a single converged platform that brings together service, data, and event together in place. So you can leverage SnapLogic to unlock, activate, so you can innovate with your agents of your choice. With that, I'll hand it over back to Greg to take us home.
Thanks, Ravi. Just one area that we've not covered yet, but I'll just cover quite quickly, is how long does it take? in terms of the various elements, discussions, conversations. And I appreciate that everyone's on different parts of the journey, and some people will be very much embedded in this process. Some people will be starting. Typically what we find in all of the conversations that we're having at the moment and projects that we're working with, we find that phase one, typically the foundation phase, takes about anything from 0 to 3 months. Phase two is another 6 months on from there, where you're doing a pilot, a proof of concept, and a actual outcomes based in your own environment, locked down to your own data, so we can test all of the outcomes and validity and everything else. Rollout then goes from month 9 on to an enterprise-wide adoption. And there are a variety of different case studies across Europe of companies that have developed these solutions and brought them in. I would say that from my own personal experience, there's a lot of projects that are at the phase 2 side of things, and the actual enterprise adoption element is only just coming to the fore now. The one thing we're seeing in the marketplace, and the one thing is that we're going to see increasingly, is that commercial pharma will change. It is changing. It's becoming more agentic in how it's operating and what it wants to do and what it wants to achieve. This is at various levels. So it's with the healthcare professionals, it's with the payers and the providers in the marketplace and their decision-making processes. It's with the organizations, the healthcare organizations that we're interacting with. It's with the business functions of sales, commercial, market access, medical, manufacturing, supply chain. It's all integrated, and it's all redefining the way that the industry, be that pharmaceutical, medtech, biotech, is evolving with the whole enterprise AI, agentic AI agenda. And where we're going to be in 2 years' time, that's the really interesting thing, because we sit here today and we're all shaping the future of how the industry will look in 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years. And that's the interesting point. Manu, any comments from you?
No, absolutely, I agree. Okay, right now AI agents are, I would say, relatively new. Everybody is trying to do something or other, but the phase 1, what we call as the foundation phase, okay, that must be robust to be successful in one agentic AI deployment. And to be specific, in pharma, commercial pharma space, I would insist the data is the foundation. If your data is wrong, then garbage in and garbage out. And that is $1 million question, really.
Yeah. I've just seen a question, and thank you, Hirak, for putting that in the chat, around API failures or downstream system outages handled during agent execution. Your thoughts on those?
Ravi, you want to answer
I can take that. Now, that's a great question, right? Thanks, Hirak, for posting that. So your question basically is, you have an agent built, the agent is executing, now it needs to talk to backend APIs or downstream systems. What happens to that execution if there is a failure or if there is an outage? Sure, right? There is always situations where things could go down. This is where the SnapLogic platform pipelines are designed in a way to handle errors inside it. Now, there are different ways depending upon the system that you're connecting to. If this is a system that does not change that often, as part of our execution, as part of our API calls, we can use caching to be able to retrieve the previous one. So we don't have to go all the way to the backend. But in scenarios where you absolutely have to depend upon the backend system, which is based on the real-time interaction, the SnapLogic platform gives you the ability to retry one. Again, different ways, right? But at the very low level, it allows you to retry those. But if all the retries fails, obviously there is nothing we can do. SnapLogic is not going to reinvent just a mock response just because it cannot connect it, but we handle those execution failures in a graceful manner and provide those information back over to the customer or back over to the user. And also have pipelines in the event of things coming back, being able to retrieve those in an async fashion and send them over. So at the end of the day, the platform gives you the ability or a complete control on how you should be handling failures and how should you be remediating those errors back to them. So the platform gives you that capability for handling error handling and management inside. Hope that answered your question, Hirak. Happy to dive deeper inside if there's more to it.
We still have a couple of minutes.
Appreciate the questions so far. Does anyone else have any questions for our esteemed panelists? Business, technological, their favorite vacation they haven't taken yet this year. We'd love to spend this time making sure you get the information you need to consider this a success. If we are otherwise wrapped up, we'll hang out for a minute in case you're a slow typist. But other than that, please drop your questions in, or otherwise, thank you so much. We will certainly be reaching out to follow up and see if anyone has questions for you and making a recording of this available. Thank you, Krishna. All right. I see some well-deserved applause and kudos in the chat. Thank you, Josh. Anyone else? Any questions? Any comments? Otherwise, thank you all so much for your time. We appreciate you spending your lunch hour or maybe breakfast hour or evening, depending on where you're logging in from. And we will look forward to chatting with you all soon. Have an amazing day, and we hope you found this helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.